What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, we've got the conspiracy theorists over on Reddit going absolutely crazy right now. You're hearing all these conspiracies about criminal aliens and Social Security, and the Democrats. They're bringing Biden brought all these criminal aliens in to change the demographics of the voter base. As a matter of fact, I've never truly fully bought into that theory, if you will. There is a whole lot of evidence to point in that direction, and once again, there's a lot of credence to that because of what they were doing. Like I always said, I said in several videos, we learned this a long time ago, that the Biden administration was giving out Social Security numbers, right? So that makes you think, okay, hang on just a second, why would criminal aliens get Social Security numbers? Oh, so they can pay taxes, right? Well, you don't have to have a Social Security number to pay tax, but it makes it a lot easier to pay Social Security tax, right? That it does, folks. But I think we're going to break this down a little bit later. I'm going to stop here. We're going to read the damn headline before I get too far into this, and then I'll break down my little theory of what's going on here in a second. Check this out, y'all. Elon Musk's disclosure of planned Social Security fraud arrest troubles top law enforcement officials. Sources. That's who they're citing here. Sources. Just sources. We don't know exactly who. We don't know, what law enforcement officials actually said this. We don't know where they're from. We don't know if it's just a chief of police from Bumpkinville, Louisiana, or we don't know if it's like an FBI personnel or something like that. Maybe one of the heads of a department over at the FBI. We don't know. This could be somebody from the Justice Department. Or it could be the Los Angeles detective Smith, for crying out loud. We just have no idea who these top law enforcement officials actually are. So it does give them pause, though. I will say that. You can see, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm kind of mocking that headline quite a bit. But let's get into this. I've got a clip to show you guys as well. But tech billionaire and senior Trump advisor Elon Musk appeared to boast of advanced knowledge of a planned arrest related to alleged Social Security fraud during an appearance on a live stream Monday night promoted to his more than 200 million social media followers, frustrating top law enforcement officials, multiple sources told ABC News. So it's multiple sources. So they got at least multiples. I know I put up 3, but multiples. Yeah, multiples. We don't know how many. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what position they have, like I was saying. Yes, in fact, I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow, Musk said in response to a question about whether U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi would prosecute fraud found within the Social Security system. Musk made the comments during a live-streamed tele-rally in support of conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimmel, which, by the way, if you're in Wisconsin, don't forget to go vote, folks. Musk, discussing the alleged planned arrest, said, "This is someone who actually stole 400,000 Social Security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database and was selling Social Security numbers and all of the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security." Now, if you go over to Reddit and you go over to the leftist side of Reddit, what that paragraph right there basically does is give an out for Elon Musk and his Doge team to go into Social Security and steal all of your information. Right? Isn't that what the corporate press and all these lefties have been yelling and screaming and gnashing their teeth about? That, oh, Doge, they're going after your personal information, y'all. Hey, that's an out, because now he said it was just some random guy that they're going to go arrest, giving them an out. Now they can take your personal data and steal it for some reason and do something with it. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, but like I said, the conspiracy theorists are going absolutely berserk mode over on Reddit. It is absurd, it's insane, it's crazy, and I don't know any other qualifiers to throw in there to add to that, but it is getting outright insane. Let's keep going, though. Musk did not say how he came to know about the alleged planned arrest. He's been working in Social Security for a while. But okay. But sources familiar with the matter told ABC News that Musk was referring to an ongoing federal investigation and that his public disclosure of the matter disturbed top law enforcement officials with knowledge of the probe. So now we know they've narrowed it down a little bit. These top law enforcement officials had knowledge of that probe. Once again, though, we still have no idea who they are. Once again, it could be the chief of police for Bumpkinville, Louisiana. I don't know why that was hard to get out, y'all. But it was. Definitely was. You love how they say that. Musk did not know. Did not say how he came to know about this. But yet they also know about it because they just wrote that in their article. Yeah, there's a federal probe going on. As a matter of fact. These top law enforcement officials divulged that information to the corporate press. So is it any surprise that Elon Musk has it? I'm just saying. That's all. Previewing an arrest before it takes place would conflict with standard practice and intended to protect potentially sensitive law enforcement operations and those involved in carrying them out. A White House spokesperson referred ABC News to the Justice Department for comment, but I can almost guarantee you they're not going to tell you if anybody from the Justice Department commented. It's funny when they do that. Musk, whose government slashing Department of Government Efficiency has been working inside the Social Security Administration for several weeks, later reiterated, and yes, we are going to be prosecuting people. The Attorney General is taking action. Now, what's funny about this is we're going to pause on this right quick, and we're going to go to that clip. But let me break it down here for a second. Now, what is funny, what they found while going through Social Security, they're looking for fraud, right? So what do they come up upon? They come upon this.
So, Antonio, can you tell us what you... Antonio is helping out with the Social Security. So just trying to review Social Security, where you may have heard that we found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security database. This is so crazy. And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff that we're working on. You've heard some of that already. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident.
That's kind of mind-blowing a little bit, if you will, but it was no surprise to me because I covered those stories. I knew the Biden administration was giving out Social Security numbers. Now, I didn't know it started under the Trump administration. However, I did know about Biden doing it, as a matter of fact. So, once again, no surprises here. But the conspiracy theorists are going absolutely absurd over this. And, the corporate press, they're on the defensive on this when they're saying, yeah, but there was no money paid out. Yeah, they weren't paying out Social Security to these people. No, they weren't. But these people were paying into Social Security. That's the only reason you would have a Social Security number as a criminal alien. Now, the base conspiracy on this is that, and this is Elon Musk's conspiracy. Well, it's not his, but it's a lot of people's, right? We'll just say we'll give it to the American population. Somebody came up with this for some reason, and there's a lot of evidence pointing to this, that the Biden administration, and, well, as a matter of fact, a lot of Democrats in general, the reason that we got all these criminal aliens coming in is because they want to change the demographics of the voting base of this country, right? Because of what happened in California. There was a referendum. It just, put it this way, they allowed criminal aliens to get benefits from the state, essentially entitlement programs, and that changed the makeup of the state. And now it went from Republican to Democrat, and now it's going to be Democrat for a very, very long time. They want to do that to the entirety of the United States. The Democratic Party wants to be essentially the CCP. Pretty much, tantamount to the CCP. They want the United States to be a one-party nation, and that's it. They don't want the Republican Party, as a matter of fact. So that's pretty much the conspiracy theory, is that they're bringing all these people in, giving them Social Security numbers, so it makes it easier to become a citizen. And, because you're getting all these handouts from Democrats, you're a lot more likely to vote Democrat, right? Because they're giving you money. They gave you jobs. They gave you Social Security numbers. But my theory on this is not so simple. Sure, they might be doing that, but these people, they can't vote in federal elections, although they do. Like, I will say that there is alleged or confirmed, criminal aliens that voted in federal elections, but that's very, very minor. The numbers are so small that it kind of debunks the conspiracy theory, right? Because they can't vote. But at the same time, we also had Democrats all over the country working on smaller scales, if you will. And that's how it starts. It's the long game on this one. You go to, local municipalities, and you get laws created to allow criminal aliens to vote in local elections. And then, once you have that installed, then you work your way up to the state. And then you can say, well, look, we allow it over here. You've got to allow it over there. It's not fair to these people. Then they allow it in the state, right? And then it goes statewide. And then it just expands from there once again. So this could be a long-term game, and it's possible. I'll just say that. There's a lot of evidence that points in that direction. Once again, like I said, they just fling the doors open and start bringing all these people in. But there's multiple reasons for this. Joe Biden could have been bringing these people in to drive the economy, for crying out loud. I mean, the economy has been in the gutter ever since COVID. That could be it. It also could be they were getting these Social Security numbers and they were giving them jobs so they could pay into Social Security. Like we know, like I talk about all the time, Social Security takes 4 people paying in to make one outgoing payment, and it's going to become insolvent. Well, how do you fix that? Well, you get more people paying into Social Security. That's something I thought of earlier today. Maybe that's one of the reasons, but I think all of it kind of works in conjunction. This is something that will never be proven, folks. This is one of those conspiracy theories that can never, ever be proven, because they're not going to put something like that on paper. And I am of the opinion that, to have an operation such as this, you need a lot of people working in conjunction with each other. And I just don't see that many people working in conjunction with each other being able to keep the lid on this. Right? We haven't had anybody come out and actually say this is what they're doing. Anybody from that side actually say, think for a second, this is wrong. Maybe I should come out and blow the whistle on this whole thing. We haven't had any of that. So once again, it's just in the realm of conspiracy theory. So I don't know what's really going on with this, but it does point to the fact that, they were giving out these Social Security numbers. So if they were, that means that they intended to have these people get jobs and pay into Social Security. That's the only reason you would get a number, because you can get a work visa and work in this country. You got to pay all your taxes and all that stuff. So, it's pathway to citizenship type of stuff. But at the same time, a lot of these people, they never become citizens. So it's like, what do you do with that? Is that really what Democrats want? Is indentured servants in this country? Like, seriously, that's how it seems, because they don't have a pathway to citizenship, a lot of these people, because they came into the country illegally. I mean, maybe if they just wait it out, or maybe that's what Democrats think, if these people just wait it out, the laws will eventually change to where we'll be more accepting of these people for some reason. But, you know, with the landslide election that Donald Trump just won and his policies, and the fact that everybody that voted for Donald Trump knew that he ran on deporting mass amounts of criminal aliens. And, you know, all the uproar about Joe Biden's criminal, you know, border crisis, if you will. Yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So what do we do with this information, right? What are we going to do with this information? We have no idea. But, you know, Elon Musk is finding fraud. Apparently, there's estimates of upwards of $80 billion in Social Security fraud every single year. That's a lot of money, y'all. Of course, it's not near the amount that Social Security actually goes through, because their budget is in the trillions, for crying out loud. So it's a drop in the bucket, but every little bit helps, right? Right. But, you know, let's keep going at this point. There ain't much left to this. His comments come a day after he held a campaign rally in Wisconsin where he appeared with longtime ally and former Tesla board member Antonio Gracias, who also has been working with Doge at the Social Security Administration. Gracias told the crowd that amid their review of systems inside the SSA, the team had referred to law enforcement targets for prosecution. Gracias alleged that they had identified and reported undocumented immigrants improperly receiving Social Security and registering to vote, allegations that NBC News has not verified. But you know what? That's not, you know why NBC News or ABC News hasn't verified that? Because that's not what he said. We just saw the clip. He said they received Social Security numbers. He never said anything about these people receiving benefits. There's a vast difference. But once again, leave it to the corporate press to manipulate what's going on, folks. It's insane. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them undocumented immigrants already on Medicaid, as an example, said Gracias. Yeah, and 2.1 million just in fiscal year 2024 that received Social Security numbers. We actually took a sample and looked at voter registration records, and we found people here registered to vote in this population. Yes, and we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service already, Gracias said. Yes, so, once again, proving outright, you know, if what he's saying is true, proving that, yes, they were bringing these criminal aliens in, they were giving them Social Security numbers, they were registering these people to vote, and they were voting as a matter of fact. So, because of all the lax rules that we have around voting, it is, once again, like I was talking about, you know, during the election cycle, you know, it's so easy to just go up to a polling place and go vote in a lot of these places. A lot of places don't require ID. And plus, a lot of these criminal aliens, they've got a Social Security number, folks. They could just go to the DMV and get an ID. So you need to have some sort of voter ID, if you will, that proves, you know, you got to prove you're a citizen, show a birth certificate, something, then get your voter ID. That's why the SAVE Act is so important, folks, because of operations like this. You know, all this evidence points in the direction that Democrats are, you know, importing people to change the demographics of the voter base in their favor. And once again, there's a lot of evidence that points in that direction. And at this point, it's all but proven, because, you know, it's analogous essentially to, you know, cops get a call for domestic something, right? They show up to a house. They see a guy sitting on his couch in the living room, right? And he's just sitting there. He's like, oh, what happened? You know? Doesn't know anything that goes on. So the cops is like, well, we heard that, you know, there's domestic abuse or something going on over here. We need to check your house out. And so they go into the house and they go upstairs and they go to the bedroom and they find the guy's wife dead with a gun laying right next to him. right? After investigation, they find that there's, it's impossible that she actually shot herself. And so they conclude it was a homicide. Well, they have the guy, he was sitting, he was the only person there. And he's like, no, it wasn't me. That's conspiracy theory. He tells the police, no, you're just a conspiracy theorist. That's essentially what we have going on here. Like, once again, I'm not fully bought into that conspiracy theory because, it really honestly wouldn't take many Democrats to do. So, giving it a little bit more credence. Plus, once again, all the evidence points that, yeah, it was the guy just killed his wife and just went downstairs and made the phone call himself. That's what the evidence points to. I mean, now, it is, once again, 100% possible that somebody broke into the house, went in, snuck around the guy watching TV on the couch, went upstairs, shot his wife, and, just so happened there was a gunshot on the TV right at the same time, and he didn't hear the gunshot. That's definitely possible. Right? It's definitely possible. That's what Democrats trying to make you believe on this one. And it's hard to buy into. It's hard not to think that that's exactly what they're trying to do. Considering they've even said, once again, giving Joe Biden statements before he got elected, surge the border. That's tantamount to this same guy saying, a week before that he's going to kill his wife, for crying out loud. And you want us to believe that you're completely innocent on this. Seriously. That's what they want you to believe, folks. And, I'm having trouble not buying into it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to stay away from that. But it's really hard not to look at all that evidence in totality and be like, yeah, don't think so. It's really hard. But I've been rambling, so y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Subscribe if you're new around here. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.